Und ich habe jetzt hier wunderschöne Unterstützung zu meiner Seite. Bitte schon mal einen großen Applaus für die drei. Und zwar habe ich jetzt hier auf der Couch Astarohime.
Hallo.
Und December Wynn.
Hallo.
Ja, und das Ganze wird auf Englisch stattfinden, deswegen sitzt die werte Shiro auch noch da. Und weil mein Englisch so semi ist, übergebe ich jetzt das Wort an Shiro.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Q&A panel of our cosplay guests, December Wynn from USA and Astarohime from Russia. And today we will have a small Q&A session. The people here sitting in the room can just raise their hand and we will go with a microphone to you so you can ask your questions. But if the people watching of the live stream have any questions, just use your keyboard and ask us. So I want to start with a small self-introduction. Just tell us about you, like how long are you cosplaying, what's your favorite part, stuff like this.
For sure. My name is December. I've been cosplaying for about 11 years now. My favorite part is definitely making the costume. I really enjoy making things and then getting to meet other fans of the series that I love.
So what about you, Astarohime?
I've been cosplaying more than 10 years, around 13, I guess. The most enjoyable part of the cosplay is like super complicated question for me because I like making costumes. I like, to make photo shootings because in the photo shootings I can express my feelings about the anime or manga, to express some ideas, I don't know, and mostly of that I'm enjoying the conventions because of all the people, because you can meet new friends. For example, I've been following December for a couple of years, but it's the first time I see her like in person, and I'm very excited about it too.
That's always great about conventions, that you can make new friends. So you both told me that you like to craft. So I heard that there are like people who like to build armors, and there are like the other people who like to stick cosplays. So what about you, and why do you like to craft or to tailor?
My favorite thing when I'm making costumes is painting or dyeing on the fabric, followed closely by sewing. I am also an artist, so that is why I love painting so much.
I also enjoy making my own costumes. How to say it? I really like elaborate costumes with a lot of details because I like when you're starting from the base, you do the base, and then you started to add all the little details, all the lace, all the crystals, all the bead. I really enjoy hand works. I like to embroidery by hand. I like to put the crystals, to glue the crystals again because I really like crystals. Crystals. Yeah, and this is the thing that I really enjoy because you can see like from, I don't know, like from the piece of clay there is coming the beautiful statue, like, I don't know. This is the magical feeling.
So you both like more to tailor and also to go into more detailed costumes. I think this is something you both have in common, right? Yeah. This is great. So you were talking about conventions, actually. So for you, it's the second time in Germany at a convention. For you, it's the first time. And what are your impressions about German cosplayers? What do you think about them?
Okay, I will start because for me it's like the first time, and actually I'm super excited because all the people are so friendly. We live in the world that are ruled by social media, so you got a lot of information from everywhere, and because of that you get a lot of stereotypes, for example, about the people, and there is like stereotypes about Russians as well, or German people, that we are like cold and not friendly. But I'm so happy to see that it's not true at all, because people are so friendly, they're like easygoing, they're coming and saying the compliments. It's so cool because it's for me it's the main point of the cosplay to share the love, to share the I don't know, like feelings for the anime, for the favorite series, for the favorite characters, and it's so cool when you see like the same character as you are dressed up in a cosplay, and you can easily go to them and make some compliments, and it's so good that people are not so shy and not closed and not cold, and this is the thing that I love about Germans. They are so polite yet so friendly.
Thank you. Is it different in Russia?
It's kind of, I don't know. For me, it's of course different in Russia because it's like my home country, and I understand all, all what people talking, and because of that, I have like, and because of it's my country, I have like a lot of friends there. So I'm like moving from one group of friends to another group of friends, like normal thing on a convention, but I really, I don't think it's kind of different. I think it's quite the same, but I really like, I don't know, maybe it's my impression, but I really enjoy that on the convention. Here I see that people like meeting each other and making new friends. I think it's the main reason for the convention, the main point of it, and it's great.
So what do you think about German cosplayers?
Yeah, I have been really blown away by the level of craftsmanship that I've just seen even on this first day that I've been here, and this is my first time in Germany at a European convention. As well as it's been really nice to see the open areas, like the park where everyone's walking around and meeting other people and taking photos, which is more rare in America for sure. So that's been really lovely to see.
And what do you think is the main difference between conventions in your country and conventions in Germany? I mean, you just have been here for one day, so maybe it's a bit difficult to answer, but if you have anything.
I have an answer already.
Yeah, for you. Yeah,
things are on time. That's the biggest difference.
The main difference between Russian conventions and German convention that it's not cold, here. So people can, walk around out of the convention and they are not, covered in snow and ice,
But it's also not too hot either.
And also it's so cool that I think, it's the second time when I'm on a German convention, and it's so cool that you have a convention in such beautiful places that people can, easily take a good photos right on the convention because of the beautiful buildings, beautiful parks. In Russia, we don't have these places, unfortunately, and I really envy you.
Thank you. Does anyone here in the audience have a question? Okay, then I will ask the next question. You both have been to a lot of conventions, right? So what was the most funny thing you experienced during a convention as a guest or as a visitor? Dum, 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 dum. No, you can take your time.
When I was much younger and was competing at a convention, I was competing in a big ball gown, and I fell on stage. And unfortunately, it was not the first time I had fallen on stage. It was the second time I had fallen on stage. I had fallen at that exact convention the year prior on the stage. But that time was planned. The second time was an accident. And I fell on stage, and I fell so hard and made such a scared face that everyone thought I fell on purpose again. That's probably the funniest thing that's happened at a convention to me.
Good acting.
I actually can't remember something particular because there were so many of things happening. But one time we were in Japan as a group of invited guests in a cosplay, and we went to visit the Hatsune Miku production studio, and in this day it was a typhoon. You know, like Japanese people are really strict to their plans, so we couldn't, you know, cancel this event. So we go. There were like 10 of us, the cosplayers, and the thing is that we needed. We had a bus, and we needed just go out of the bus and go inside the building. It was like, you know, 10 steps, like I don't know, 2 minutes. Like only 2 minutes, but because of the typhoon, all the cosplayers, you know, we were walking from the bus and like blown away. So all the
were you wearing costume?
Yeah, of course, full in costumes, and because we were, you know, visiting the Hatsune Miku studio, everybody was like, not everybody, but half of us was Miku, you know, with ponytails this long. And yeah, it was really funny
like
because
a cloud of teal hair.
Yeah, because it was really funny because they were Japanese staff who was inside the building. The building was, you know, from the glass, so they can see what's happening. So there were like a bunch of cosplayers who couldn't get inside because they were blown away. And because of that, they, with the scary faces, they came out of the building, running, and tried to grab us one by one and put inside the building. But it was not the end of the story. So we get inside, like, and you know, stress, pressure, and next minute. Everybody, we are, you know, lifting our eyes to each other and our wigs, you know, like these ponytails of Miku, like this,
Like a cotton candy on the side.
yeah, like a green cotton candies, and that was, you know, that was funny yet scary, you know. Memory.
Do you have some more stories? She's laughing even before talking, so I'm sure she has a lot of stories.
I'm just trying, you know, to choose something not embarrassing, like
No, it's okay. Tell us embarrassing stuff we have found.
like that story when I was, you know, young cosplayer. I was just started and I was not used to my own costumes. You know, like you're not used to wear the crinoline or hoop skirt like every day, of course, like only on the wedding. I mean, like obviously, but I was like, you know, not used to it, and also there was a trip in a bus, and because we don't have the time for dinner, we get like a prepared bento, and I was wearing the puffy skirt, really puffy one, and I was like, you know, all this energetic and wanted to chat with everybody, and I was like turning around like, and all of my bento fall to my dress like, and I was like, I don't know what was more, you know, said in that moment, that I ruined the costume or I will not get the food.
I had a similar thing when I was very young, a baby cosplayer. I was wearing full white, and I was driving to a photo shoot on the highway. And it was usual highway traffic of stop and go, and someone cut in front of me, and I spilled a whole cup of coffee down the front.
Oh! Could you save a costume?
No.
Oh.
That is so sad, actually. Yeah. I also had a story about ruined cosplay, but it was not mine story. But when, you know, when Warbler, you know, Warbler.
You are in Wobbler country, you know that, right? Wobbler is German.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why it has such a strange name, right?
I'm sorry.
Warbler. Okay. So one of my friends, she made you know, the armor piece from a warbler, and she's living in a very I will not name a name, sorry. And she made the full warbler armor, and she living in a country with, with a tropic climate, like really hot. So she was driving to the convention on a car, and she put all her pieces like on her pouch, and stopped for 5 minutes to the grocery store because she wanted to get some, water, because it's necessary to be hydrated. So when she went out, all her armor melted and covered her pouch. So she couldn't get the money, the passport, because she now had no armor, but she got the armored pouch.
It's good protected.
Yeah,
but she
live
in LA.
Huh?
Does she live in LA?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's pretty common in California.
Oh, I see. Did you also had experience?
I have not melted warbler, but everyone knows someone that's gone to Anime Expo and melted their armor. Yeah.
I see. So this is the problem of warm countries. So you both mentioned several times that you were cosplaying for a very long time. How did you actually started to cosplay, and why did you start it?
I started cosplaying. I have always enjoyed crafting and sewing, and wanted to make friends that did that. So I made a friend at my first ever job who took me to a convention, and that's how I started cosplaying.
And how was your first cosplay? How did you approach it? How was you did you just went there and say, oh, this is so cute, I just buy something? Or did you say, okay, I will just try it? Or how was it?
It was, I am very embarrassed of it now. My first costume was Sebastian from Black Butler. Oh. Yeah. And it was a very poorly made suit, but I sure learned a lot.
But you did it by yourself.
I did.
Which is great. How about you?
It's a kind of complicated story. Some years ago, like 10 years ago or more, in Russia.
So long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. I was in school, and in Russia that times it was so very popular to cosplay J-rock bands. J-rock bands like Malice Miser, Zegazet, Duran Gray, and so on. In that times in Japan, it was really common, like Visual Kei, that the bands wear some, elaborate costumes with a lot of feathers and the crystal and so on. And it was super popular in Russia to cosplay J-rock bands. And actually, we even have the separate convention for J-rock cosplay, where people only cosplay J-rock bands. They even do, the skits with the bands. And they do the cover dance for K-pop and so on. The main point in this cosplay of J-rock bands were to find members, that face features were the closest to the musician, that your face look like the actual musician. It was wow, super, how to say it? It was on some point, the quality of your cosplay, the costume is 1 point, and if you look like the musician, it's 1 point more. So I was just a normal schoolgirl who
young and innocent, yes.
Yeah, young and innocent, right. It was actually like this. So I was just having a blog where I was rating my schoolgirls I don't know, posts, like how I like these boys or that boys. Yeah, like a diary with this embarrassing, posts. And at some point, I really loved the Duran Gray band, and I took my nickname, the very first nickname, over his name, like Shinya. And look at the face.
I'm not laughing at you.
So yeah, and my friends, at that time they were completely strangers, but now we're friends. They found me via my name on this diary site, and at some point in one day I upload my picture on my photo on the diary, and they decided that I really look like the actual Shinya, the drummer, So after that, they contacted me and they invited me, like, do you want to go together on the convention? We will make you a costume and you will be Shinya in our cosplay band of Duran Gray. And I was like, oh, yes, I want to do this. And what's the cosplay? And they were like, we will teach you, don't worry. So in the last day, they actually didn't help me at all. They were like, oh, you need a costume, do it yourself because we have the other things to do. I think, it was not like they, do it on a bad purpose. It was like, obviously they had no time and the costume was not so, and the costume was last minute and it was not really complicated, so I could, try to make it myself. And I decided, is it a challenge for me? So I will do this. And this is how I get into the cosplay. I started to make it myself because I decided that if I can do this, so why not do this?
So you both really like to craft, and I think you're definitely from the generation where it was not possible to purchase cosplays. What do you think about the new generation of cosplayers, of the generation of cosplayers who have never touched a sewing machine before, but just buy costumes? Just how do you think about this?
I think it's really wonderful. I think it's a nice way for people who don't like crafting but like to express their fandom and just want to come to conventions as fans and cosplay and make friends, and that's the extent of how they want to interact with cosplay. I think that's awesome. I love meeting all sorts of fans, and so many people are friendly, so it's just always, I think it's better to have more friendly people at a convention and more friends to make.
I completely agree. I think it's wonderful because, for example, 10 years ago it was like completely not possible and it was super expensive, but now it's super possible to buy any costume you like, and if you don't like sewing, you don't like crafting, so don't do this. You don't owe to someone to do this because cosplay is all about getting fun. It's a hobby, and it's your passion. And if your passion just to put a costume and I don't know, making funny videos to TikTok, or I don't know, funny pictures or not funny and not beautiful pictures on Instagram, so go for it. So you don't owe to anyone to There's no rules for cosplay. You can do whatever you like.
Does anyone has questions? Are you serious? Okay, let me think about it. So you talked about the younger generation of cosplayers. I heard from a lot of people that they say that the younger generation of cosplayers has a very different way of cosplaying, and that they sadly have a lot of pressure from social media. How do you think about it? The whole social media thing, the younger people, how they handle it?
I have a love-hate relationship with social media because it's how I've made many friends across the world. Oh, excuse me. So I have a great love for social media just because it's been able to connect me with so many wonderful people. But I do think there is a trap that I especially see 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds fall into, where they feel like they aren't cosplaying for themselves. They're cosplaying for social media. They aren't, and I don't think there's anything wrong with cosplaying for social media. You know, there's lots of very talented people now as influencers who are very skilled at what they do. But I do think that, especially younger kids, I just hope that they realize that there is not a standard to live up to be a cosplayer. You know, they don't have to have a certain number of followers. They don't need to look a certain way to be a wonderful cosplayer.
So do you have an advice for these cosplayers who felt pressured due to social media?
Yeah, I would say value the close friendships that you have and you make on social media, and value your time and value what you love and follow that. At the end of the day, you know, cosplay should make you happy, and if there's an aspect of it that isn't making you happy, then you don't have to interact with that aspect of it.
I don't know, it's kind of complicated topic, I guess, and it must take like a lot of time to discuss, I think, because it's like the huge topic, and it's not like, you know, something that were happening years ago and it's over already, but it's like happening right now, and I don't know how to help to these new cosplayers, because I know you can like advise them not to compare themselves to anyone, to not, you know, focusing on the, you know, followers or numbers of likes. But in the end, everybody does this. It's just, you know, like the human nature, and it's so hard to get over it. I mean, the thing is, I think, it's my personal, you know, opinion, because I'm also, you know, feel pressured because of the social media. We all do. That you need to find this, you know, balance to when you get, how do you say, the fun and the, how do you say it, when you're proud of your work. It doesn't matter what particular work do you mean. It may be, I don't know, pictures, it may be selfies, it may be costumes, it may be skit or TikToks, I don't know, WCS, like everything. And the thing is to make everything that will, you know, get yourself proud, like you love your work on this level, when you don't really care how many, you know, impressions it will get from another people, because it will make you happy. Like, for example, when you're doing like a big costume, I mean, not even the big, like when you're making a costumes, like in our case, I guess, because we are students, the feeling when you finish it, it covers all the, you know, disappointment from possible disappointments. I mean, like, it's not always disappointments, it's like a possible disappointment from the social media. I mean, you're already happy because you have it, you made it, and this is this balance that you need to find. If you are not happy when you're crafting, that you need, you know, to change this. Like, don't craft, just order it or buy it, and be happy when you know, making the photo shoots, for example, because it's really harsh when you're trying to make like everything yourself. Like, I mean, for example, when you're doing a photo shooting, you are making the idea, you are making the, you know, the storyline, you are drawing the poses that you will take, you are make the appointment with a photographer, you are finding the studio, the location, you are making the costume, the makeup, the wig, and everything. And this is kind of, you know, crushing you because you feel so much pressure. But if you, for example, like just throw away one thing from this list, you will feel so much relieved, and you will get so much more, you know, entertainment from this. So I'm just like, I'm not saying that if you love to do this, you don't need to do this, but you just need to find things that will make you happy, like not crunching, but happy. You don't know anyone like to do everything yourself. If you have like a friend who will help you with an idea, for example, or with a storyline, or will help you with appointments, go for it, because it will make you like more happy and more involved in your own, you know, idea. I mean, so it's all about the balance. When you're happy, the social media doesn't really matter. I mean.
So your general advice is to cosplay for yourself, for your own happiness, and not to let other people decide if you're happy or not.
I think the other thing I would add to that is to surround yourself with other people who support you and make you feel good about what you do. If you and your friends are supportive of each other, it matters a lot less what strangers think.
I think actually, yeah, I'm so much agree with this on so many levels, because I mean, like, I'm not saying that you know, comments and likes from strangers are not valuable. Not, of course not. It's so good to get impressions for the people who don't know you, but it's so good to see how your friends like appreciating you and like support what you are doing. It's really great when you have these people, so you need to keep it close to you.
So you already mentioned it several times that cosplay takes a lot of time. So how many hours do you actually spend for cosplay? And how do you handle it?
I think have a couple.
Overall, yeah.
I have a couple of costumes that I've made that have been 1,000+ hours. Most of them do not come in at that much, but I do have a couple of builds that are over 1,000. I'd say many of my costumes are probably in the 300-hour range, and then some are much less.
And how does it work with your life? Like, I mean, we all have to be adults, sadly, clean up flat and stuff like this.
I do work a full-time adult job, so I do a lot of work after I come home from work, and you know that has to be around normal stuff like, you know, cooking dinner, doing chores, stuff like that. So on weekdays, probably 3 good working hours at the most, and then on weekends, and since I really love crafting, so I do a lot on the weekends, so I'd probably say that's when I'm putting in maybe 10-hour days some days.
How about you?
It's actually really depends, because I don't know, I'm really a strange cosplayer, because I don't have, you know, a particular type of the character that I cosplay. Like I cosplay, I don't know, sexy ladies, I cosplay like Lolita girls with a lot of lace, I cosplay like a princess, I cosplay as a schoolboys, I cosplay as a sports boys, because I love them all. So I could say that the costume that was like the fastest for me, I made it in one evening, I guess, and the most complicated one, it was the Trinity Blood one, and of course I spent around 1 month and 1.5 months for it, because I was, you know, like drawing the pattern on the fabric and bless you. So it really depends.
And how do you actually motivate yourself to work on the costume? Because for me, I see like the pile of fabric sitting there and waiting for me and crying to me, please touch me. So how do you motivate yourself?
It's actually depends. Because some cosplay I made like for myself. For example, this costume I really wanted to make, and I made it for myself mostly, because I really love the design and the character. It's my main character in the League of Legends. That's why. But sometimes, for example, we have like group projects, and my friends who, you know, believe in me, motivates me to finish the costume, because we have, like, for example, appointment, or we have like a group skit, and I can't, you know, like.
You don't want to let them down.
Yeah, I don't want to let them down. Thank you.
I'm the type of person that if I start a project, I'll be frustrated until I finish it. That's one motivating factor. I also really like looking at other cosplays or cosplayers who have done the same costume, and I find that really motivating, is seeing their beautiful work. Usually pushes me to like finish my job.
Do you have like a cosplay idol or some cosplayer you really like, and someone who really motivates you and give you ideas about cosplay?
Many. Yeah, there's just a ton of people that motivate me. In America, we have the lovely Yaya Han, who she is a wonderful person, a wonderful cosplayer, and a wonderful businesswoman. I find her work incredibly inspiring, and just her business mindset around cosplay and how she's turned her passion into something that she does in her all the time in her life. I find that incredibly motivating. So a shout out to you, Ms. Han.
Also, many, because I don't know, I can be inspired from the sewing of one person, or paint work of another person, or for example, like I really love the Chinese cosplayers for their photo shoots. They do like a lot of special effects. They do like a super, super difficult poses with a lot of flying fabrics, for example. And I find it super, inspiring. So I can't say like I have like one ultimate idol or something. I just like love to see other people's work and be inspired from particular work.
So you talked about Asian cosplayers. Do you have, you have been to Asia a lot. I'm not sure if you're following the Asian cosplayers, you're following them. So what do you think about the Asian cosplayers? Because in Germany, there is an image that Asian cosplayers are like the better cosplayers. So how do you think about it? And do you really think that we should compare ourselves to Asian cosplayers?
No, not in any way, because it's so much different, because we have like a different mentality, we have like a different background, and because of this background, for example, like in my case, like background of the Russia around me, and the Russian ideas of, the Russian ideas of living, the Russian nature, the Russian buildings, and so on, I have like my ideas, my vision on the character, and they have their own vision, and that's great, because we can see like different works depending on cosplaying of the same character from different sides. And of course, how to say it, we both have things to learn from each other. Yeah. Like, their skills in Photoshop, with the photo shootings, their skills with the makeup, for example, is so great. But for example, our skills with the sewing, our skills with armor crafting is also on point, and there is no place for any compares. There is just a place for teaching each other.
Exchange of ideas.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. And I have not ever been to an event in Asia, but I have had the chance to guest with some wonderful Asian cosplayers. And for sure, some of the most memorable moments I've had guesting is been able to sit down with those cosplayers and just exchange ideas and talk about the ways our communities differ and what we can learn from each other.
I guess that it's always really interesting to hear the differences between like European or USA cosplayers and Asians, because I have a feeling that there are like this three different points of like cosplayers, and they have a very different cosplay culture. Did you too already exchanged about this, and did you already realize that there are differences between you cultures in cosplay?
A little bit. We've talked about it a tiny bit, yeah.
I think we will talk more about it because it's so interesting actually, because I've been to American conventions. Obviously,
Which ones?
In Houston, Anime Matsuri. I've been guesting for 3 years in Europe. But obviously you haven't been to Russia, so I guess you have no idea about it. But I think it's very different. For example, when I was first in America, I was like, I was in shock because people there was so easy about the cosplay. Everybody was like, for example, I was like, the first day of a convention, I was like walking around to my booth, and all the people was like stopping me, not for, for a selfie or for a picture or for ask questions. They were like, oh, hello, you look so good today, have a nice day. Wow, this exists, and this is the thing that I think we need to learn from American people, because they are so open-minded about all the aspects of the cosplay. They are more like acceptable, like oh, you like to cosplay boys, okay, that's great. You like to cosplay, I don't know, foxes, that's great, like you look good today. And also I saw, for example, on an American convention, the first time in my life, like the whole family in a cosplay, like, Papa Naruto, Mama Naruto, this kid, baby Naruto, and they even have like a small baby in a stroller, and he also was a Naruto, and I was like, oh my god, this even exists. This is so cool. I mean, like the Russian convention also have like a really strong sites, really strong sites. Like, for example, we have a lot of crafters who do like super awesome cosplays with, I don't know, lights and fires and like everything. But it's again the thing that we need like to discuss and to exchange experiences.
You mentioned family. What does your family think about you doing cosplay?
When I started it, they hated it. No, but they're very supportive now, especially because it's allowed me to travel.
That's great.
Can I ask you why did you hate it? Like because of you spend a lot of time, or you like do a lot of mess in the house?
They wondered why I was doing cosplay instead of studying. Okay. That kind of thing. Yeah.
I had like a similar situation, I guess. Russian mamas, something about Russian mothers, they are really harsh on their children. Like, you need to be like the best school, I don't know, like the best marks in the school, you need to, I don't know, like the best in everything and so on. And when I started cosplay, they don't really understand it, what's happened, because my first cosplay, J-Rock, like everything in lacquer and so on. And one day, actually, I was going to the cosplay event, like a small cosplay event, like a cosplay party, wearing all this, black J-Rock, I don't know, cosplay. And my mother told my father, like, you need to take her to the place on a car, because I didn't want her to be seen in the subway. And my father took me to the anime party, and he was like, what's this? What's happening? So he saw that just it was like a bunch of children who just having fun, and he was okay with this. But after that, they started to hate it because I did a lot of mess, and I was sewing on the nights, obviously, because on the daytime I was at school and studying. Because of, J-Rock, again, J-Rock cosplay, they have a lot of, I don't know the word, not sequins, these metal things. Studs, yeah. And I don't had like a special machine for studs there. Yeah, and I need to make it with a hammer. And I got one costume that had like 800 of this. So I was like sitting there like in the night, like 800 of them,
My mama would not let that have happened.
And in Russia, we don't have, houses. We live in a flats, like, building with a lot of flats. And in the end, at 3 a.m., our neighborhoods from the down floor, I'm living on the 14th floor, and they were, from 13, they come up, ring in our door, and 3 a.m., and I opened the door with a hammer, and they were like, please stop. We don't know what you're doing, but please stop. So, yeah, and I mentioned the Russian mothers, not without a point, So, in the end, my mom started to love the cosplay, but love in this way, how the Russian mothers love their children. She was like, oh, honey, this is beautiful. Did you made it yourself? Oh, you made it yourself. So cute. But this is not really, good made. She's like, this is, you need to change. Yeah. But right now, she's like fond of it. And she had like a lot of pictures of me in her bedroom. So I guess we are fine with this.
That's really, really great. Sadly, we are out of time. Do you have some short last words to our audience?
Thank you so much for coming. We've really enjoyed talking at you.
Yeah, thank you so much, and enjoyed cosplay.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. Thank you. I hope you really enjoyed it, and yeah, lots of fun doing Connichi. Oh, I see we get some last words here.
Ja, da bin ich wieder. Vielen lieben Dank an euch drei. Nochmal einen großen Applaus, bitte. War auf jeden Fall sehr interessantes Zeug mit dabei, muss ich schon sagen. Ich möchte mich nochmal bei euch bedanken und bei uns geht es um 19:15 Uhr weiter mit der literarischen Runde. Dann werdet ihr mal ein bisschen erleben, was Geschichten und Japan tatsächlich miteinander zu tun haben. Ich bedanke mich und bis 19:15 Uhr.